comp, just kind of a middle ground. Both of these teams feeling each other out a little bit. Very keen for this grand final though. See if this G2 rebuild is successful, whether Falcons is going to continue this crazy upward trajectory after being relegated and then getting themselves a 3rd place at the end of last year.
Well, it's do or die. It's going to be G2 Gozing starting things off on defense, while Falcons Vega on the attack. As we instantly see sort of a crunch onto this A side. Double-sided approach. Aim main already infiltrated. There may be trouble as Rescue tries to fend off the attackers, but as she's taken down, it's Petra with a double. So G2 Gozing sticking on top. Lush. That's an upper angle. Could be really strong if he catches them off guard, and she does so. That's Lush swinging it all back in favor of the Falcons. And G2 might be in a little trouble here as they've got to come back. EMEA, good on the trigger. And that leaves equilibrium across the board. A 2 versus 2 with everyone sight and Lush on the flank, but once caught, so G2 topsy-turvy. Yet another time, Ava tries to make it a difficult one, but Amy's got it all locked and loaded. A triple by the end, and first blood for G2 Goza.
Yeah, Falcons just trying to convert that Hall split there. Obviously, with the Halls getting re-added back into Breeze, it's something that's seeing a lot of popularity. The Halls lurk, of course. And in this case, not committing the wall across from mid and turning it into a big split, but instead the A main pressure with Luch coming through Halls and almost turning that round on its head. Definitely went back and forth between both of these teams. But Amy, ever good in the clutch, one of the standout Sentinels, and I don't think anyone's too surprised after her year on Ascend last year that she's been picked up in this G2 rebuild.
That goes there.
And I think it's what Billy was saying in the analyst desk as well. This is an A map, right? And somewhere where Falcons can sort of show what they're made of, right? This is what a lot of people kind of believe why Falcons is a strong team in this series, and why they can definitely do damage to G2, and one of the reasons why they did take them down in the group stage as well.
Chance for damage on the anti-eco here for Falcons. They've been a lot of round 2 eco wins across the playoffs so far, more than I'm usually comfortable with. It caused me a lot of great pain, especially because I often like seeing the clean anti-ecos, but it's going to be a nice little smoke pop and a plant straight away from Toki. Oh, they deny it just in time there.
It's a good reveal. Definitely allows G2 to have an even easier job at closing this second round up, is what you expect, but Falcons would have loved the plant there. Might have boosted up the credit score, might have given them an extra orb to work with. Toki loves to go aggressive with the blades as soon as she's got them up, so we'll have to wait a little bit due to death, but by the end of it, all they're hoping for are consolidation kills. Vanya, nice shot through the smoke, and keeping the pesky Falcons at bay. It's a no-fly zone, this A site. And one by one, Falcons' wings are being clipped off.
Yeah, Sandra looking for further damage. She's been on the lurk through elbow this entire round, only now just getting involved, but it's an instant headshot onto Vanya. Another gun taken away here for G2, and that's all Falcons are really looking for here is damage.
Couple more of those.
One enemy
Too
remaining.
bad of a solution here for Falcons, but a swift drop of Ava and Sandra means the end of that round. G2 2-0 on the board. Falcons, time to play catch-up.
See what they're able to put together here. Already the lurk up through elbow from Sandra. Obviously, these mirror comps, very, very popular comp on this map at the moment, especially because both of these teams have shown the tendency to play some crazier comps. I was almost surprised, as they mentioned on the desk, that Ascent was banned out and they're going to go for Breeze as the opening pick, something that hasn't been played since group stage there for G2, especially after they won it. It is one of those things where sometimes you do want to change up the veto just to be able to, you know, waste a bit of prep from your opponent, especially across the whole map pool. It's a lot of time invested trying to get it prepared on all of those maps. It's a nice little elbow walk from Rescue, looking for the lurk of Sandra early on.
So far forwards, but it seems like Falcons are expecting something like that. Quite passive on their approach, but instead Mad V is the first to job, so she's going to have to be calling from the grave as G2 have got the advantage here, and with that pick, they can just drop back and play it safe.
Yeah, the bonus win would be massive for them. But you look at this Toki, she feels like she's got good space out A main here. Able to find the timing, taking out the cam there. Vanya only alone on the site with a ghost here, supported by Amy from Bridge.
So far, dry peeking from Toki, but this toxic screen allows further movement. One to the right-hand side has to be the attention for Toki here. Spots a pixel. The spray is timely. Eventually taking one down, and that's G2. on equal footing, but Sandra, this is an interesting lurk in the making. Could definitely catch them off guard. Mimi reads it, but it's not quick enough to the trigger, so it's still a difficult affair. Amy, you've got to pick up the pieces here, but the lurk is still there. You've got to be careful of your back line, as Sandra could come into the fight at any second at this point. Amy, though, closing up, has to get traded out. Sandra still being a menace in the back line, hasn't been taken down just yet. As a fight still commences onto the site, they just have to isolate the kills before the rotations have to come through. Lush does get one, but quickly traded right back up. Toki in main clears it all down. It's a damaging round for Falcons, but one they pick up nevertheless.
Yeah, well navigated. Nice nerve settler, especially with the elbow walk of Rescue, finding damage there early on. You lose your KO. Going to be difficult to start to get into these sites against, you know, this Cypher Viper comp. Definitely going to be heavily disrupted by you two, and they were, but they managed to find the right passage of play to convert that 4-on-5. Should take pretty significant damage though, and G2 straight away with the reinvestment here. Get the Cypher over onto this B site in combination with the wall across middle. Rescue getting the operator out, and once again getting active, but not going to be finding too much contact in middle because Falcons is going for the quick A play here.
Yeah, Rescue and the operator so damaging. One of the youngest players in the tournament as well at 17 is quite a dangerous prospect. A prodigy in the making, perhaps. But for now, it's an aggressive stance from Falcons. Again, the tag exactly where G2 would have wanted it, and it's an easy pickup, looking exactly like the second round thus far. And with Petra getting a kill through the smoke for yet another time, it seems like history is repeating itself. Petra finding even more damage, and Falcons, even though they get themselves a win a round before, it's all crumbled to pieces. An instant later, with Sandra looking to pick up all these pieces herself, up against the 5 of G2, who, by the way, haven't taken a hint of damage this round.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind the Outlaw buy, to be honest. 3 players with light armor here, but Sandra really unable to find too much impact. It's kind of been solo on the other side of the map. See if she's able to find any damage. It's the contact setup swinging off of Vanya. And Rescue unchecked. Both players a little bit of an awkward exchange with the scopes out. Cage creates some space. That has to be dodged, but she doesn't even manage to do it. Petra, a 3k from stairs side in a round to reset the money of Falcons early on is really going to steady the ship at G2. 5 players surviving there. They are really off to a great start here on Breeze.
Yeah, and Andalusia flawless at that as well. So stacking it up here for G2 goes in. Brilliant start. And it's exactly what they want. For Falcons, I think this is a theme they've had so far, right? Pilski, this is they've been bringing out timeouts exactly when they've been needing them, not playing around at all. And we're seeing that come alive in the 5th round, rather, of the first game in this grand finals.
Yeah, I think this is where you need to see a little bit of leadership from Eva as well as the coach. You know, obviously G2 and especially with the superstar rebuild are the much more experienced team in this situation. In a best-of-5 grand final, although Falcons has been a favorite in this tournament and the off-season roster shuffle means that there's big question marks about who really is the best team until you actually get through the entirety of the playoffs and you start to answer a few of those questions. Falcons is still a very inexperienced team in big games. Not many players, I think, you know, who have made it to overseas lands. I know that obviously over there in the Middle Eastern region, they do have a lot of local lands and things like that they play, and they do play on boot camp, so they do have that kind of experience. But in terms of big games, playing a grand final, you know, Falcons went straight through contenders. They got that 3rd place last year, but this is their first chance at a grand final, and this is G2's home territory.
Yeah, it's a matter of having practice at doing it time and time again. You've got pressure on your shoulders here, and you need experience with that pressure. While G2's got a ton of that. 7-time finalists, 5-time winners, and a world champ at that as well. Couple of world champs in this roster. So Falcons definitely hitting way above their weight here. And it's time for them to prove themselves, right? We know there's a lot of talent here. We know that they're putting a MENA on their back right now. This is the furthest any MENA team has made it into any Valorant tournament at that. It's of this level, right? At an EMEA level. So definitely a lot of prospect for this team, something that we're definitely looking forward to, seeing how they grow, but try and give their best fight for this final, at least this first map. This contact is somewhat fruitful, a trade that they take, but not a position where they can retrieve a weapon. Yeah, moving to this A site, it seems that G2 has got this well telegraphed.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 1-for-1. Falcons will take that. Really just looking for damage in this round with a couple of big impact ults, though. They find the right angle of approach. Could be a chance at a round here. Orb goes up. Snakebite to zone the attackers back. Make sure they can't scale up into the A site. Falcons are going to take a little bit of space in middle here, unchecked. So an A split is definitely on the cards here.
Poison orb emitting.
It's just a matter of finding that first pick, isn't it? And Vanya's going to be such a nuisance on this A main cross. Oh, compound crossing. Toki, oh, an opportunity. But Amy is crispy with it. Give her another chance, you'll make it a triple. Yes, you're up against pistols, but it's making it down. It makes it look so easy.
Yeah,
and there you have it. G2 4-1.
The anti-eco hype is something that I think is overdone a little bit, but when the shots are that crispy, like it's just pleasurable to watch, you know. It just makes me happy to see one taps like that from Amy. She's looking in fine form, a 3K on the pistol round. She's playing very confidently. I mean, she of stage 3. And worth mentioning as well, while we're talking about it, that only one of Eva or Vanya will go back-to-back here in EMEA.
That is very true. And Rescue, lovely shot onto Toki. Already giving them the advantage, and info gathered on the second swing. Viper's orb does come up though, so forced to draw back. As Ludge itself starts to move even closer, but with the repositioning, it's grand for a pick. Nicely done there by Rescue. And G2, just like that, are comfortable. Falcons barely were able to move an inch in this round, and it seems like it might already be over. It's 1 minute on the clock, and they've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, pop flash set up by Mad V there. Pushes the op off the line. Rescue, dash activated, keen for a repeat. You've got the close position of the KO and the Cypher. Big crossfire to be running into for Falcons here.
And again, information gathered. So the rest of you two start to line up on this A site. Nobody holding out on B, knowing fully what the plan of Falcons is this one. And Rescue manages to find impact again. 2 more, and it's the ace. Reload and 5 bullets to the chamber.
1 enemy remaining.
Oh my goodness me! Petra denies the ace, but that's a Rescue round written all over it with an Andalucia flawless. That's 5 rounds to 1 for G2, starting to run away with the game.
Yeah, Falcons are looking way too hesitant. They're getting picked apart. They're constantly playing from behind and getting kind of shut down by pretty common angles. It has to be said, like both Amy fighting from stairs there, Petra in the previous round, Rescue, you know, they're decent shots on the operator, but realistically, you have to call it like it is. She is just holding angles with the op, and Falcons are walking into them. They are making this game a little bit too easy for G2 right now.
You start to have to wonder how the Falcons switch the pace up. You know, you've got ultimates available, and Toki seems to be willing to use the blade straight out of the bat. This is a pistol round, right? You don't really expect a victory, but if you draw out the pistols, that's a commitment. And a pick maybe could make this fathomable, but it's hard. G2, this new restructuring, the new playstyle that they're bringing out seems to be working out for them. But for this round, that's a pick for Toki. That's exactly what Falcons needed. But can they close this out?
That's actually huge. They pick the Cypher, so no more trips. They're immediately going to reroute back towards B. Vanya trying to buy time for the rotations to come in. Orbs up, Snakebite drop behind it. But Falcons, they can definitely get into this B site. Walls invested, they got a trip on the flank, and they can potentially get this pit down here if they can clear out Vanya.
I mean, Vanya is alone, but it's a very dangerous Vanya at that. Go into a site and you're down. No, she might come out with a kill. That's exactly what happens! 90-degree turn, and that's Toki dead. G2, they could deliver with defending the site, and Rescue is right on the flank, and Falcons have got no idea. Oh, it's looking bleak, though. Those shots did not connect, and Vanya's still being a menace, though. That's exactly what G2 need. Just keep them busy while the rest of the G2 start to follow up. That's exactly what they do. Rescue finds an opening as Matt V was out into the open, and Vanya keeps on giving. This is incredible. Falcons thought they had a chance with the blades at the start, but they're quickly running out of time. 10 seconds. Vanya was a first player contestant, and she's only now fallen. 4 seconds. There's no time to plant. All Rescue has to do is stay alive, but she doesn't.
Oh, that round
for a
was...
second there, I thought Falcons had it, but G2 had it, but it's Falcons win.
That round was a circus, to say the least. That was, you know, whiffs all over the place. Falcons, they really needed to just get in there, scale into the site, and try to take Vanya out. They obviously had a snake bite on her, Toki diving with the knives, the Hunter's Fury that were very much trying to isolate the pick onto the Viper. And the call was good, to be honest. I think if this was like an earlier playoffs game or a group stage game, something like that, I reckon Falcons runs in there with full confidence. There's definitely a different aura about them in this grand final right now. They're playing very hesitantly, taking their time, but they still get that round done. A bit of a gift from G2, I think. Obviously a bit of an awkward exchange, all things considered. But G2, plenty of cash to reinvest. They're going to buy up again. Operator comes out. Petra trying to contest this Halls push, which, you know, as a Sova player myself, it's a miserable job to be doing a lot of the time. Just gathering that mid-round info, keeping an eye on Halls. Sometimes you peek into 3 players. Sometimes you peek into an op die for free. It's a little bit of a nightmare. But Falcons this time, looks like they're considering the mid-wrap into A after seeing the pit go down in A main there.
Just still starstruck through this round, but you've got to cooperate. Got to get back into the zone, and Mimi is the one on the hot seat. Petra, crossfire, Viper's pit in main. Oh, this A site is looking difficult to enter, and Rescue on the flank is not going to let them pass. Petra also, all of the G2 goes and players line up their shots. Vanya is challenged through the Viper's pit, and blink and you miss it. Falcons lose that round.
Yeah, I mean, G2, they're all over this game. I think the last round very much felt like a bit of a slip-up. Little bit of sloppiness. A nice opening pick from Toki, and it's something that I've been talking about on the desk all of this stage. She has been one of the highest rated players. She's been one of the most aggressive duelists in terms of taking first kills, and at one point was a whole 10% ahead of the rest of the duelists in the competition and everyone else in the competition at actually converting those first kill opportunities and those attempts. So I think she's slowed down a little bit since then, but you can clearly still see that last round with the half buy is a perfect example of why she's a great asset to this Falcons team. I think at the moment, though, they are really struggling to put rounds together. G2's all over this defensive side of Breeze, and Falcons back on the half buy here. Still haven't found impact with that pit. I'd love to see them invest it and actually get some value out of it, because they really could have cycled a whole new one by a round or two's time if they had actually invested it on that B side after plant.
Yeah, it was probably a conversation between using other ultimates at that time as well, as they had 4 available at a single instance. So it's a matter of juggling results. A difficult conversation to have, especially when you're not winning the rounds that you do expend the ults on. So Falcons now rotating towards his left-hand side. 2 defenders. 2 defenders you don't want to be seeing. I think you can say that for the entire G2 Kozen roster. That's what makes them so scary. But the null command indicates the attempt. Rescue in the middle. Mimi there to assist. The flash is supreme. Or if it was a team flash, maybe not so much. Still, keeping things even for G2 here as Mad V will be brought back into life. Rescue debating another shot and another attempt in, but waits for the teammates. The smarter call. Patience doesn't pay dividends as Falcons start to rain upon G2. All of the bodies drop, and it's down to Vanya. Oh, the star piece of G2, the new star piece at that. But with 10 seconds, it's Sandra on the hot seat. Sandra needs to go in for the spike plant, all for the attempt on the kill, but Vanya's just going to go all the way around and play the clock to perfection, getting the kill as well. G2 on 7, and Falcons start to trail behind.
Oh, it's just another round that slipped through Falcons' fingers there. Unfortunately, you know, Eva, I believe, droning in the open. I love this heads-up play from G2, though, recognizing that the KO ult's online. It's a very high percentage play to be committing to that B site with the KO ult, and Amy was the one to mine Halls this time around. She invests the trips over on that B site, the cage on the right side of site, and she's able to just sit back, keep an eye on that Halls line, have the camera for middle, which actually gives you a lot of info, particularly in an anti-eco situation. It's a nice little cam for you to throw down. But really, that should have been Falcons' round nonetheless. Vanya coming up massive and punishing the mistakes of Falcons in a 1-on-3 scenario. Falcons now back on the buy. Drone to kick off the play. Hunter's Fury available. And once again, I'm waiting to see this pick get invested. It is only a 1-1-3 though. They're only looking to apply pressure to that B site. You've still got Mad V all the way back in spawn. Sandra keeping an eye on the B side of things. So after that drone, after a little bit of pressure, G2 are looking for info and looking to re-clear A main here. And without seeing most of the team, just one player, they can kind of get a bit of a read that this might be a reroute back towards the B site.
Here. I got the spike.
It's always a difficult one. especially leaving it to 45 seconds. Toki has had bad luck in the entry so far, never really finding space to get a kill in the entry, and it seems her fate will be sealed again in a similar fashion. It seems that there's always nooks and crannies that G2 goes and can look upon, but still Falcons remain alive, afloat perhaps. A flank from Vanya could be influential, but G2 have to wait on that one, and it could be notified by a Cypher trap.
KOL popped. Trying to kick off this retake here and clear out the pit if they can here. Starting to creep around the pit and contest this post plant.
Yeah, it's difficult to have protocols for this type of situation. There's so many different positions that could be taken up, especially in the Viper's pit, but so far so good for Mimi as they shut down Ludge straight out of the bat. Petra can stick on the defuse as her teammates do have her back. And as swiftly as that, G2, I talked about protocols on the start of it. It seemed that they've got those locked and loaded.
Just another retake, unfortunately. Another missed opportunity for Falcons. Able to get into the site, able to get themselves into a 3-on-3 post plant with the pit down. You'd love to be converting that kind of round. But G2 is just all over this game. Strong across-the-board performance from pretty much everyone. Great little KO ult to be able to complete that retake and make Falcons' life difficult. Trying to pop out of that pit or try to stall with any util. So Falcons, once again, it's a force buy this time. I mean, they're down to light armor with rifles and just the Sheriff armor on Sandra. They really feel like they're hurting for rounds here.
Kind of goes to show why G2 goes and picked this map to begin with. Sort of thought, yeah, maybe the individual firepower can be highlighted, but G2 are clean.
Yeah,
really well rehearsed on a map that Falcons didn't really want to be playing the past few days.
I mean, there just really hasn't been that many reps. I think this is only the second time we've seen Breeze in playoffs in general, and both of these teams not really playing much Breeze. The only Breeze game they've played, I think, in this event has been against each other. So not that much chance for Falcons to get comfortable on it, and I think G2 are taking full advantage of that.
Again, leaving the clock down 45 seconds before the approach starts to happen, and G2 goes and can definitely hear the alarms ringing from the door opening. Mimi on side, having to look away from the flash, but Vanya's got her teammates back. God, that was quick. The Outlaw only has 2 bullets to the chamber, and 2 kills were collected off the back of it. That's why you need to buy full armor, guys. Just things to learn off of this final. Falcons just trailing behind, but that was a crucial pick here from Sandra. Maybe they have a flank in the making, but the fact that Ludge is the only person to assist with a push from main with 13 seconds to spare, it does not look pretty. That shot did, but it's not enough. There is no way Sandra can get herself out of the situation, and therefore it's G2 goes in, just running away with this game.
That's the power of the Outlaw, man. Like 3.4k buys. If they're either going to half buy or they're going to force rifles, light armor with util. No one wants to have to go down to a buy without Vandals, you know, have to go down to Guardians or Bulldogs. Definitely something you see against this Outlaw meta in the main circuit, but unfortunately a bit of an oversight for Falcons, who really want to try to get around together, and Vanya's able to punish that. She's playing lights out right now, and it's something that the desk highlighted. I mean, her performance so far in the playoffs has been pretty insane.
Toki to lead the charge. It looks like Falcon wants to switch up the pace a little bit here, but it seems Toki is not having the support she needs. The utility from Gozen was perfect, cutting off the rest of the teammates of Falcons to move in, making it nigh impossible. But they do find a different way of entry. They've got the A main site. The spike can go down, and a 4v5 not impossible, but they want to take the backside as well. Petra using the stairs like a master, picking off another and doing damage to another 2. Falcons, yes, on a lower buy, but this is a last round and a half, and there is no other resource. Mad V leading from the front in kills, but she's got to find 2 more. But Mimi's not going to let her do that. Leader versus leader, but it's G2 Gozen's captain to take the cigar this one. The defuse, double digits at halftime.
Yeah, that was just a dominant defensive side start for G2. Definitely see why they're picking up the breeze here. Full confidence in this grand final. And Falcons, I feel like watching them play, you know, I've seen a lot of their games so far this event, and, you know, when they're playing their best, you think they might have the potential to win the whole thing. But today, that is definitely not one of those days. This game of Breeze, they're looking very hesitant, not looking like their confident selves right now. And I think G2 are taking full advantage of that. They're playing very well. All players contributing across the board. Everyone all over things.
Yeah, you've got to be thinking last night's best of 5 that went to overtime on a couple of maps as well. Falcons, you really don't know how much sleep they've got on them, especially with the adrenaline that they had right after it. It's hard to imagine they got plenty full of sleep while G2 goes and had a day of break. So that's going to be an interesting one, an interesting dynamic in regards to sustainability in this series. But look at this. Teams that ever wanted to take a chance, but Toki's the one that might do it all with the flank. Oh no! Oh, the shots aren't connecting, but at least she's good for one. But a teammate drops.
Spike planted.
Ever now in trouble, spotting a weapon but not pulling the trigger in time. Surprised at that, but Falcon's keeping it in contention. Sandra opening up the line, hand in hand with her teammates. Toki picking alone, and alone won't do it. Disjointed, they shall fall, and G2 goes in a clear advantage. A 3v1 where Mad V is asked to do the impossible, I think, but she would have wished she could have gotten the kill on that. It would have made this so much more easier. But there's way too many angles, and the pressure of the Titan spike ticking is not gonna be it. And 2 rounds away from map 1 going into the hands of G2 Gozen has got to be in the heads of Falcons right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a non-starter in the grand final, unfortunately. Had potential to be able to pick up that pistol. I think for Falcons going 1-for-1 early on, they're in a decent position once again. But none of these rounds where they even get down to like a slight advantage, 4v3, XVX, 3v3s, all of these rounds are going the way of G2. Falcons are completely unable to take advantage or capitalize on some of these even situations. A lot of those opening rounds to their attacking side, it felt like they were getting first pick quite a lot, and it's just kind of felt like a bit of a domino kind of snowball effect for this game for Falcons. It's a non-starter, they haven't really gotten rolling, and I think this timeout, and you know, regardless of what happens on this game of Breeze, there's still a whole best of 5 in front of them. You know, even if they get dominated on this map, they really need to pick up some momentum. They need to start grinding back some rounds and start to, you know, get that self-belief going and get the communication going back up, because if they don't start to break that momentum moving into the next map, whether they win Breeze in some crazy comeback or whether they just lose as you'd expect them to, it's really, really important for them to actually start to get something going here for the rest of this grand final.
With that break, let's put their heads down. Start taking it round by round. Yeah, this is a long one. You're right. It's a best of 5 series. You've got to think that you're playing this out. But for now, the early engagement from Toki not going her way. I feel like that's been sort of a theme on this one. Not necessarily of Toki not finding the shots, but it's a bit of disjointment from the rest of the team, and those early picks do seem to be favoring G2 Gozen. But for now, better weapons. It seems like a 12th round is destined for this star-studded roster.
Bit of A main pressure. They're going to call the audible back to B, which is the correct call. So you can all see on the radar. Falcons here, just with a half investment. You know, they're so far behind. They don't want to force and not be able to buy next round. So just the half investment. A lot of sheriffs, a lot of marshals. Falcons have shown the propensity to be quite sharp with a lot of these weapons and do some economic damage. But as G2 kick off this B exec, they're starting to rotate into position. It's going to be a retake right from the get-go, though.
Free site take, though. They'll be happy with it. And Rescue's got it covered. Sandra, good trade. Outlaw won't be picked up. Thinks otherwise of it. And Amy showing her ground will keep them busy for a little bit in mid, forcing Sandra to having to go for the wrap check. If she's still there, that's a pick. So now numbers advance for Falcons. Can they secure it? Lovely flash. And Vanya swing, allowing for the double. It's exactly what G2 Gozen needed. Make things even more easier for them this round. They don't now allow Falcons to play their card, forcing their hand every single time. And this round will be no different.
Yeah, the communication looking pretty phenomenal on G2 here, and that's the big plus of having someone like Vanya on your team. You can see with the wall cycles on the Viper, having that IGL experience previously, she's calling a lot of these wall drop plays. She's calling a lot of the plays where she's, you know, calling from the flash and the KO, be able to peek half wall there. Previously, you saw on the pistol round, they dropped the wall and, you know, double or triple peek spawn. Having a strong voice like that on the Viper to be able to play around these wall timings is super, super strong for you. Last chance here for Falcons, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, even though she's had to change her role a bit, she's still having the high fragging performance that she had back in BBL.
Especially in the playoffs. G2 on the Halls harassment. Oh, that's not how you wanted to start for Falcons. I feel like they haven't had a single first blood this entire game.
Yeah, I hope the analyst desk reads up on the stats of that, because it'll be an interesting one. Definitely missing out on the early trades. And it seems to follow suit up until the 1 minute mark. All Falcons players spread out across the map. It's going to make it easy for an infiltration here for G2 Gozen.
Yeah, the Outlaws looking strong once again. I mean, you saw how much investment Falcons put in that last round with the Sheriffs and the Marshals. That Outlaw definitely dangerous against this buy here in round number 15. Nice scan onto A main. You're going to at least see the Jet. Not sure if it got the KO as well. It did. So that's something you can definitely read into. These are not the agents you're usually leaving on the lurk here. And out comes the wall towards this A site.
The cross does come through.
Enemy remaining.
Oh, and it seems like G2 Gozen want to fight this, but Loja's got it all covered. Amy turning it around though, drawing it back to 1v1, a Cypher 1v1 at that. But I don't think Amy's got any idea. Sandra's being loud about it, but I think she's just out of range. How'd it all crumble in a matter of seconds?
Planted the spike.
An equal chance beside. Spike planted. Sandra knows, but Amy's the one to swing, and Amy takes things to her own accord. A Red Bull clutch for Amy, and it's G2 Gozen with map number 1 victory.
Yeah, an absolute stomp on map 1. Just classic G2 grand finals. They all look switched on. They all looked ready for this game. I think Falcons, they seriously need to go back to the drawing board, and this is where you're really going to get to see, you know, whether they have what it takes to be able to contest a grand final like this. This is where you need your strong leaders, your strong voices in the coach or the IGL, or even the people who are